Thomas Yellow Eyes with Night Train Pickleball, and today we are bringing you another Whiteboard Wednesday. Today we're talking about the 3 bounce rule specifically for beginners and intermediate players. Okay, so the three bounces that we're talking about, we already know that there is a 2 bounce rule, but this is a rule that I like to teach my beginner players, both in the clinics, like intro to pickleball classes, and but definitely when they come back and they are talking to me about what they can do to up their game or take their game to the next level, I introduce them to the 3 bounce rule. Okay, and the 2 bounces obviously are ones that you need to do, but the third one is one that once I see that they add to their game, all of a sudden their game is, it makes sense. Like when it becomes part of your game, it's a rule, all of a sudden players start adding that part to their game, right? So let's talk about them. So the very first one that we want to talk about is the serve, right? So say this is the serve team here. This is the return team here. The goal is to get the serve as close to this, close to the baseline as possible on the first bounce, okay? The serve, hit the serve deep, close to the baseline. One of the reasons we do that is players have a tendency to back up, and it shortens their return. So if they were returning it deep, but you were serving it about halfway, once you start backing it up, their return will start getting shorter, right? So if we were to say we wanted to drill that, I would start out with cones set at about halfway, and then as you started getting consistent in this space here, I would start moving the cones back and tightening it up until you became consistent here, and then I'll probably back it up one more time. And now we're being very consistent and keeping it close to the baseline. We also know that the baseline is in, right? But depending on who you're playing with, I like to keep it close to the baseline, especially in competitive play. But by rule, the baseline is in. Okay, so that's number 1. So the serve is number 1. The return is number 2. So once that serve happens here, and we hit the return, we want the return again to be close to the baseline. So the 2 bounce rule, so we know he has to bounce once, so we're taking advantage of that on the serve. We're keeping them as close to the baseline as possible. Then we hit the return. We want to hit the return deep and close to the baseline as well. Again, we back these players up, whether we return to this player or return to this player. Again, on the return, you can hit it to either side or up the middle, but you hit it as close to the baseline as possible, and you're going to force these players, the serving team here, to now have to hit a longer third. Also, you start, like maybe they had committed to hitting a third shot drop, and you had backed them up. Maybe now they're hitting, so they're comfortable with the third shot drop. Maybe they are now having to consider hitting a drive or even a lob because they are uncomfortable, and now they're hitting a shot that they're not really comfortable with as well. Okay, so that's the 2. The rule, right? The 2 is we have to let the ball bounce once on the serve, and we have to let the ball bounce once on the return. And then the 3rd bounce that I talk about is the no volley zone or the kitchen, because this is the only place on the court after the 2 bounce rule that the ball has to bounce before you can touch the ball. Now, obviously you can, well, just for argument's sake, the ball lands in here, you have to let the ball bounce before you touch it, right? That's the no volley zone, or as a lot of players call it, the kitchen. Okay, so that is where I start trying to introduce the no volley zone. We know that when we want to start moving up into the 4.0 skill level and higher, we definitely need to be utilizing the no volley zone. And it is a mystery to a lot of beginners and intermediate players, low level intermediate players, because they're so used to just wanting to hit the ball. And a lot of what I get is, I'm just trying to get the ball back over. Well, now we're going to create a purpose of where that ball should go, which is in the no volley zone. Okay, so whether you hit it on the third shot, whether you hit it in a fifth shot, ninth shot, doesn't matter. We want to get the ball into the no volley zone. And a few reasons why: it forces the opposing players to have to let the ball bounce. A lot of times, if you float a ball, you're allowing a player to hit the ball hard and hit it down, which makes it now you having to dig a ball out. Number two, or another reason, is it's a good place to neutralize an attack. So you have players who are just driving the ball at you. Once you learn to start dropping the ball in the no volley zone, and then obviously you start learning to drop it shorter and with a lower bounce, it creates even a harder attack for the attacking team, the opposing team, right? Then it's a safe place to return the ball. Okay, so and it goes along with the next one, which is, when in doubt, the no volley zone is a great place. Now, the serve and the return, it is not, right? We got to get those deep, got to force our players to back up. But after that, the no volley zone, when in doubt, the no volley zone or the kitchen is a great place to put the ball. Okay, and while the ball is traveling into the no volley zone, it should allow you to shift back into position, both you and your partner, and get ready for the next shot, right? To start setting you up for some success. When you just start hitting the ball hard, that's when chaos happens. And even though it's exciting and it feeds our adrenaline, it's not always successful. We know that the counter attack wins a lot more than the actual. If you don't win on the attack, the counter attack is definitely going to high percentage of winning. So what do? Instead of attacking from an awkward position on the court, like the ball jack here, and then you're just hitting the ball hard, you're actually hitting in the no volley zone and allowing your team to get back in position based on wherever that ball is going to land in the no volley zone. And it helps neutralize, helps get your team back in position, and then it helps you get ready for the next shot, right? It's a great way to neutralize the opposing team, and it's also a safe place. And when in doubt, it's a great place to put the ball. So that's a little quicker today, but it's one that I teach, again, beginners and low-level intermediate players. Some intermediate players, I may not need to teach them that that's an option, but why it's an option, why it's going to help them get to the next level. Okay? Again, Thomas Yellow Eyes with Night Train Pickleball. Please make sure to like, if this helps you, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and you can put in the comments below how this is helping your game and you're enjoying these. If you'd like to see a video, leave that in the comments too, and we'll put it on the list of videos, and we'll even tag you, let you know when we're shooting that. Okay? See you next Whiteboard Wednesday.